at the quarter of a millennium point, there's going to be a quarter of 1,000 episodes of Into Your Head in the Ethosphere. Well, they're not all online, but they're in the Ethosphere in that they exist. I don't know if you're familiar with the term Ethosphere. I'm not, but I assume it exists. Once you say something, then it exists. That's the way it works. In fact, if you're going to say something in the future, then it already exists. But we won't get bogged down in the theories of the timeline again and the whole Professor Stephen Hawking's thing. I've done that several times before. I don't want to. I've even done a show where I spoke about being obsessed with Stephen Hawking and needing to get away from the subject. So I can't go back over that again. Go back over old ground. Although he did. He revised one of his theories a couple of years ago and said he changed his mind. So I suppose if it's good enough for him, it's good enough for the rest of us. Although what does he know? Well, quite a lot as it happens. Although a lot of that is just speculation. He's theorising. This is the stuff that Professor Stephen Hawking has in his brain may well be very interesting, but it's not knowledge. It's theory. I could come along here and say there's a cat outside the door of my studio, and that would be absolutely true. And Professor Stephen Hawkins could be standing over there in England in his wheelchair and say there's a cat outside Neil's room, but he's just theorising about that. He can't see the cat. He has no evidence of this whatsoever. He hasn't listened to this yet. Even if he had, that wouldn't be proof. So no, the small amount of information that I've got in my brain is millions of times more valuable than the huge quantity of theories that are in his brain. Now, I don't mean that as to be offensive to the man. I'm sure he means well when he comes out with all this crap that he spews out of his mouth. Although, just in fairness to him, he doesn't spew out of his mouth. He's not able to, which is probably just as well, because if that man was able to speak in the normal way that the rest of us speak, I can tell you, we wouldn't be taking him seriously. He'd have some stupid English accent, and he'd say, "Hello, I'm Professor Stephen Hawkins. When time gets to the end and the world comes to the end, then we all just turn around and go backwards. That's what happens. And then we go backwards to the beginning, then we start all over again and go forwards." I hope that makes sense to you. I hope it doesn't sound funny that I'm saying it in this accent. I'm not, as you may have noticed, I'm not doing his accent. I can't do accents other than my own, which I believe a lot of people find my accents that I use here on the show very interesting. I don't know why. Apparently people consider this particularly Irish, which I find offensive. I don't come along here and say, you Americans with your American accents, you go blah, 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 blah. You talk about hamburgers and cheeseburgers and American football and baseball and advertisements in the middle of games, which apparently are very important. No, I don't go on talking about all that crap about you. But you feel perfectly fine coming along and saying, "Oh, he has a great Irish accent." I can't make out a word he's saying. That's what some people say. Your man, who's your man on the thing? Bob, who does a thing called Bob something on the Overnightscape Underground. He said something about my accent. Or was it him or was it another fella? Maybe it was your man. No, I can't remember who. Someone said something anyway. Someone said something about something, and I decided, oh, that's a load of crap. Cheek of him saying that I've got an accent that's hard to understand when he's American. He's a foreigner. He doesn't even talk proper English. He says, "Hello, hi, I'm American." I say, stuff. I can't do the accent again, so this narrative may not be making as much sense as it would if I was an actor. But I'm not an actor, I'm a real person. A lot of you out there are actors, you're fakes. You spend your whole day being someone else. I see you all come on Twitter with your fake names, with your weird, odd names, with your QXYWP Pippi as a name. If you're going to have a fake name on Twitter, at least go back in time to the beginning and pick one that has just one letter or a number, because everyone knows. Or maybe not everyone knows, and And then, now that you mention it, if this is a piece of knowledge that not everyone knows, then I should hold on to it, because I'll lower the value of it if I give it to everyone. It's like if you have a piece of gold and then suddenly everyone finds a bit of gold out in the street, then gold loses its value. So no, you don't give away knowledge like that. If you're Professor Stephen Hawking, you don't give out knowledge at all. You give out hints at knowledge. You try to give out theories and all sorts of crap, and try to make out that there's some value to them, and then you write a book, even though you can't move. Apparently you're writing a book. That's a ghostwriter that Professor Stephen Hawking has, I can tell you. Either that, or he's found some way of communicating, which seems very unlikely to me. I've seen no evidence of it, although admittedly he did narrate a television program a few years ago. But that was well, that's just stuff. Where do we go from here? I don't know. I have to admit, this coffee thing is starting to become more apparent now. The coffee, I made some coffee earlier and it went cold, so I didn't get to drink it. Then I made more and I drank that, but I think it's worn off now and it wasn't very strong. After that, I had some cereal, but then I found some plastic in the cereal, so I couldn't finish it. Then I had some toast, but we were running low on things to toast. There's a limited number of items that you can turn into toast in the average kitchen. There's bread, and there's maybe waffles. You can toast them, and there's those things that Kellogg's make. But apart from that, no, there's not an awful lot of things that you can toast in the average, especially the average Irish kitchen, because we don't have your frigging bagels and your frigging other things that get crammed into the toaster. No, it's all about the bread here. And I haven't been out today, so I didn't buy any more bread. Not least because I'm trying to give it up. So no, limited materials for toasting. What else? I don't know if this is annoying, is it? I'll find out when I listen back. I'll see, is this annoying? I don't know. That seemed annoying to me, but because I was expecting it, it was at least less of a shock that it happened. But no, let's see, what else? 8 minutes and 1 second. What else can we tell you? Nothing really. I suppose this will be like the last 10 minutes of the last class before midterm break, when no one's paying attention, so we just sit there. Take out your books. Go on, take out your books. Brian Jude knows all about that at the moment, one of the listeners. He's teaching children at the moment, and he goes in and he says, take out your books, and then they say, we can't, teacher, and he says, why not? And they say, because we have our books taken out already. And he says, well, put them away and take them out again. I will not have people disobeying me. Because people have, if you're a temporary teacher, you have to be careful to keep your authority, because people will take advantage of you. I remember a fella back in third year of secondary school used to come in and they'd say hello, and then a load of people would say hello, and then they was in a prefabricated building, so they used to take up the floorboards and climb out and go out into the yard, and then come up to the door and knock on the door and say, hello, sorry teacher, we're late. And then they'd go and sit down, and then they'd go out through the floor again, and then they'd come in and say, sorry teacher, we're late. The teacher would look confused, and of course his authority had been undermined, and he knew damn well that it had, but he didn't know how. Although maybe he did, and he just didn't want to draw attention to it. I suppose that's something to be said in his favour. He knew what he was doing. He's a sly bastard, I can tell you. So anyway, that's what Brian Jude is like. Yes, I don't know the man personally. I know him from the internet. I know his internet persona. His internet persona is, well, it's basically, you can find out by listening to the Brian Jude Show what his internet persona is. He comes on and says, hello, this is the Brian Jude Show. I'm Brian Jude, and I present the Brian Jude Show. I feel feel like I'm the most appropriate person. Not that there was a selection procedure. I didn't come along and say I'm starting a thing called the Brian Jude Show and I'm advertising for people to host it. So anyone who's called Brian Jude can apply, or you can change your name by deed poll to Brian Jude. But make damn sure you spell it correctly, because I'm not having any incorrectly spelled Brian Jude, because I don't want to cause confusion. I suppose we could have two co-presenters, both called Brian Jude, but there'd have to be some way of distinguishing them in an audio environment. So I suppose one of them would have to be called Brain Jude, and one of them could be called Brian Jude, or you could call one of them BJ, I suppose. I don't know. Or you could call one of them Jude and one of them Brian, or one of them whoever the short for Brian is. I think it's Bran, or Bryn, or Bra, or Bin, or B, or just B, I suppose, if you're taking things to extreme. I don't believe in abbreviating things too far. I believe there's far too much of that. People are abbreviating things all over the place. The word abbreviate is abbreviated all the time. In dictionaries, you'll see ABBR, and then you have to turn to page 3 of the dictionary to look up what ABBR says. And it says ABBR, noun or adverb or whatever the hell it's called. And then it says ABBR is an ABBR of ABBR. It means to shorten something, like for example to shorten ABBR from its original. And then that doesn't get you any further, so you have to get out a thesaurus then. And if it's a small pocket thesaurus, they can't even fit the name of the book on the front. They just say THES. But then, at least, you've had that thesaurus a long time, so you at least know that you can identify it as your thesaurus. You write a little symbol on the front that you will recognise. So you open up your thesaurus anyway, and you look up abbreviate, and it says abbreviate. Funnily enough, they managed to fit the whole word into the frigging thesaurus. Then it says other words for abbreviate, which is what a thesaurus gives you, and it says shorten, abbrev, or Brian Jude. So no, that doesn't do you any good. Anyway, good morning.